Hello and welcome to the Redefining High Performance Podcast. My name is Ty Bennett. I'm excited to be here with you today. As every week I bring to you these short, quick episodes, no fluff. I just want to give you some practical things that come out of our research around high performance. Give you some things that you can use, some tools and some ideas, and make you think a little bit differently about how you approach your performance in whatever it is that you do. Today's going to be no different because I want to dive into a specific aspect of one of our findings. So if you've read any of our research, if you've seen me speak live, you've probably heard me talk about adaptability. According to our research, adaptability is the most crucial skill for you to be successful in today's world. And it just makes sense, right? We live in a world that's constantly changing. We have to be able to adapt because adaptability isn't just about surviving through change. It's about thriving through change. It's about growing through change. One of the ideas that I just love sharing with people because it's typically such an aha. It's something that most people have never thought about before is the idea of a to-learn list. Now, you're probably familiar with a to-do list. A to-do list is about things that you need to get done. We all have those checklists, things that we need to do. A to-learn list is an ongoing document where you are constantly adding things that you want to study, areas where you want to improve, things that you want to grow. A to-learn list is about continual growth and development. I encourage you to have a to-learn list, but there's an aspect of your to-learn list that I want to dive into today. And that is the category of unlearn. You see, growth is not just about moving forward. Sometimes we have to step back and reapproach. Sometimes the unlearning is the most impactful way to adapt. Growth isn't just about adding more. It's about letting go of the things that no longer serve you. Because sometimes what got you here won't get you there. And in our world today, that's never been more true. So when you build a to-learn list, I always encourage you to have a category that's the unlearn part. And this is where we start to identify the habits, the assumptions, and the approaches that might have worked in the past, but maybe they aren't going to work moving forward. Let me give you a couple of thoughts around this, or a couple of places. Technology, that is a place that is constantly changing, growing, developing. Well, there's technology that becomes outdated or irrelevant pretty quickly. If you're still holding on to a past way of doing things, there's probably better ways, more effective ways, more productive ways, right? I mean, we can't be running our business on fax machines anymore. With the advent of AI and other things, are you unlearning those old habits to relearn new ones? Technology is one space that could be the case. Leadership's another place that's constantly growing and developing. The old approach of command and control, the way that a lot of people led for a long time, that doesn't work in our world today, especially as we're leading a younger workforce. And so we have to be able to let go of some of those old habits and approach leadership differently. It's about connection. It's about partnership. And how do you go about doing that? So it's not just learning new approaches, it's also unlearning some of those things so that you don't show up the same way necessarily if that way is not as effective as it could be. In the area of personal habits, there's lots of areas, lots of things that we might have done in the past that work to a point, but we know they don't work anymore. So as an example, you maybe were like a serial multitasker, and research has shown that multitasking actually is not a very effective way to go about doing things. And so unlearning that habit and learning how to focus in and get things done in a productive manner, maybe that's an unlearning process. Unlearning is hard. I think it's harder than learning because it feels like undoing something, especially something that's worked. But here's the thing, adaptability demands it. Because most people listening to this are probably pretty productive people. They're high performers, or at least pursuing high performance. Well, if that's the case, then however you have gotten to the stage that you are, it's working to a point. And it's hard to recognize, one, to have the awareness that maybe this isn't the best approach, and two, then to be able to let go of, strip down, remove those habits, those approaches, and to relearn new ones. So here's the questions I want you to ask yourself as you think about this idea of unlearning. What beliefs, habits, or methods am I holding on to that no longer serve me? Think about that. What beliefs don't serve you anymore? What habits, what methods? And then the next question to that is, what do I need to do to deconstruct that in order to move forward? If you can commit to both learning and unlearning, you'll not only stay relevant, you'll stay ahead. Let me give you a cool case study around this. Probably the clearest example of unlearning that I can think of, and adaptability, it comes from sports, and it comes from probably the greatest golfer of all time, and that's Tiger Woods. So in the late 1990s, Tiger was already dominating golf. He had come on the scene, and at just 21 years old, he won the Masters by a record 12 strokes. So obviously it's working, right? He was the youngest player ever to wear the green jacket, which is what you get when you win the Masters. And many believed he was on track to become the greatest golfer of all time. They're already having these conversations at 21 years old. Most athletes in that position would keep doing exactly what they're doing because it's working. Why change anything when you're already on top? But Tiger saw it differently. He recognized that his swing, although it was good enough, it was flawed. It put strain on his body, and it had some weaknesses that could limit him against tougher competition in the years ahead. So in 1997, shortly after his first major championship, Tiger made a radical choice, and he tore apart his swing and rebuilt it from scratch. So he unlearned the swing that he had been using for, 20 years of his life to get him to that point. This is not a minor adjustment. It was a complete overhaul. And at first, it actually cost him. I mean, can you imagine trying to get your body, like the amount of muscle memory that's built in place if he swung that club 1 billion times, to unlearn that and to change that, the mental strain that would put on you to consciously make certain choices. Well, it cost him. His performance dipped, as you can imagine, because it's not a quick change. It's not an overnight change. He went through stretches where he didn't win. And critics questioned his decision. They said, why would you do this? Why would the most dominant golfer in the world risk everything by reinventing what already worked? He already won the Masters in record fashion. But Tiger decided to stay the course. He trained relentlessly, unlearning the habits that had once led him to victory so that he could relearn new habits that he believed would take him farther. Well, the results were historic. From 1999 to 2000, after mastering his rebuilt swing, Tiger went on the greatest run in golf history. He won 17 PGA Tour events in just 2 years, including 4 consecutive majors, a feat that is known as the Tiger Slam, 4 Grand Slams in a row. He didn't just return to greatness, he actually redefined it. And Tiger's story shows us something that's powerful. Adaptability often requires the courage to let go of what is working in order to create something better. True growth is not just about learning new skills. Sometimes it's about unlearning old ones. So this week, my encouragement to you is to self-assess, to think about what habits, what methods, what beliefs are no longer serving you. And if that's the case, have the courage to unlearn and start the process of relearning something that's going to take you to a new place. I appreciate you joining me today as we dissected this idea around unlearning as part of adaptability. Adaptability, like I said before, is not just about surviving through change. That's not going to get us to a level of high performance. It's about redefining, it's about thriving, it's about growing through change. And so I encourage you to unlearn what you need to unlearn, to relearn and grow in new ways. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Please rate, review, subscribe, share this with a friend, and I will be back to you again next week.